What up? Let's ramp it up. Let's get going. Burb Jones 345. We in the house, man. We in the house. We have fully kicked into football season. So first we got the Buzzsprout link on your screen there. If you're watching the actual podcast, we got the Buzzsprout link on your screen there with all the locations to get the podcast. Just go there. If you want to hear the audio, you can listen to it while you're in the car. You know what I'm saying. If you're jogging or something and you can't, watch the screen, we got the podcast and audio at all the locations, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and you can get there by going to the Buzzsprout page that you see during this entire video. What's happening, Burb Jones? 3, 4 of them, boy. Get with the program. Like that hair flick. Get with the program. We back in the building, man. 345. This is the last episode of season 2. So let me turn the volume down here because I am screaming in this motherfucker. This is the last episode of season 2. So we had like 10 episodes, I think, or maybe this is 11. I don't know. I gotta go look on the Buzzsprout page. It tells you on there. I think this is 11, maybe. And then we're gonna start with season 3. So I'm actually going to try to go by the season. So we had season 2 in the summer, and then season 3 should be like fall football time. Season 4 will come, winterish, the turn of the new year, something like that. I don't really have a solid outline for it, but you get what I'm saying. So this is the last episode of season 2. If you're the type of person that keeps track of them type of things, most people don't. They just want to hear the next podcast episode, and we got it for you right here, boy. Ohio State, you already know what it is, man. You already know where we from. You already know how it works. The defending champions, everybody thought was going to lose handily. Beat Texas 14-7. This is the new AP poll that just came out yesterday. It's Wednesday, by the way, if you're wondering what day it is. This is the new AP poll that came out with Ohio State at number 1. And you can see Texas is nowhere to be seen. I think they went down to 7, yeah. So, and this is accurate. I don't think Miami's going to hang around too much at 5. They beat Notre Dame. And let's just face it, Notre Dame is overrated. They aren't that good, and so that's how that works. And so, what was the score to that game? Was 27-24. So, close game or whatever. But, man, Notre Dame always loses big games. Openers, champion, playoff games, they just aren't as good as they are supposed to be. Let's put it like that. But I don't think Miami hangs around at number 5 too long. These top 4 here is probably accurate for the most part. Miami, I think, might get knocked up out of 5 there soon. Anyways, the Ohio State game, man, all I really got to say about that is defense. Defense won that game. Julian Sayin looked good. Game management, no turnovers, 1 TD. Those are good things. Very efficient, 13 for 20. He only missed 7. He only had 7 incomplete passes. 126 yards. Not mind-blowing stats, but good enough to win the game. And that's what mattered. I think Arch Manning was forced to do a lot because of that defense. He threw 10 more passes. He was less efficient at 17 completions and 13 incompletions. And he also threw an interception. So just a much worse day for Manning than it was for Sayin. But I will say that is because of the Ohio State defense. And so that's what, we have to understand here, that the Ohio State defense is the best. Pick any other college team you want to pick. They don't got a better defense, man. Ohio State's defense is the best. And so when you're facing the best defense in the country, this is what they make QBs. I keep telling people, like, man, Arch is about to go out, yeah, he looked bad, but Arch is about to go out next week and probably put up 50. It's the Ohio State defense that is, dictating these games. And so that's what I'm trying to get across to people, is that this defense is so good, it makes number one prospects look real bad. And so that's all I'm trying to say about this game. I don't think that Arch Manning is a bust after one game. I think the Ohio State defense was too much for him. I mean, the Ohio State defense did their job the first time they played Texas. I don't know why people didn't expect them to do their job this time. So I think that Texas came out with a little bit too much of a false sense of hope that maybe so many players left that this team had fallen apart, and that was not the case at all. The players that came in to replace them did a great job. We lost 2 running backs, and Donaldson came in 19 carries, 67 yards, and a touchdown. So everything that got replaced came in and played like a well-oiled machine. And that's probably thanks to Ryan Day. So that's all I got to say about the Ohio State game. Ohio State defense elite as usual, and I think Sand will get better as the year goes on. And I think that Arch will be fine. Will he be the number 1 draft pick? I don't know. But I think that anybody facing Ohio State defense can end up looking just like Arch Manning. That's my point, is that they are that defense is that good, and they can do that to anybody. And so I don't know where everybody got this idea that Arch Manning was the automatic best in the country, but he has not shown anybody that yet. So until he shows us he's the best in the country, then he's just a QB who can get humbled from the Ohio State defense, and that's how that works. Excuse me. So that's how that works. We also had another college humbling with Bill Belichick, and we're going to talk about Bill Belichick because a lot of people felt the need to talk about Mike Vick and him losing his first coaching game. Well, Bill Belichick got ran over, and it was all good the first drive or whatever because they scored that TD the first drive, but then TCU came out and beat them down to the ground for the next 4 quarters the entire game. They scored every quarter. North Carolina scored on, first and third. So they allowed 21. The team just looked bad. Now, North Carolina wasn't that good to begin with. They're not that. The football team is not that good. North Carolina has always been a basketball school. The football team's never been that impressive to begin with. But this one here looked bad, and it looked real bad under the coaching of Belichick. There was a lot of things that people mentioned, no preseason. Preseason gives you more time to evaluate your players. College goes right into games. There's no preseason. Small little things like that maybe Belichick wasn't ready for. But this team looked terrible. They got humiliated, and TCU in themselves, I don't consider to be a super good college team anyway. Any team in the Big Ten will walk on TCU. I mean, point out a Big Ten team and they'll probably roll TCU. So I don't consider TCU to be all that great. So for them to do this to Bill Belichick's team, it's bad. It was a bad look, and so it was a bad look for 2 people this weekend who were supposed to be rumored to look good. I don't think anybody expected Bill to come out stomping, but they didn't expect him to be this bad. Now, was he playing? No, he's the coach. You're probably like, well, he ain't on the field. No, he's not. But he brought in over 70 players. So Bill Belichick brought in 70 players from the transfer portal. That is a whole entire new team. And so this is the responsibility of Bill Belichick. And here's an interview. Got some extra for you.
First drive was kind of a struggle.
Let me start it over.
Back left. Yeah, Jeremiah Holloway with Inside Carolina. You alluded to it a little bit, but after that first drive was kind of a struggle offensively to get points on the board. What in particular, from your vantage point from the sideline, was TCU doing to kind of get you guys out of rhythm from the offensive standpoint?
Yeah, look, they just outplayed us. They outcoached us. I mean, they were just better than we were tonight. That's all there was to it. They controlled both sides of the line of scrimmage. Their skilled players played well, and they did a lot more things right than we did. So, give them credit for being the better team. They certainly deserve it.
And he handled that like a man. He didn't complain or anything. He handled it like a man. He said they played better on both sides of the ball than they did. You can tell he's humbled by the experience. A man who's used to probably winning. He has a lot. You can tell he has a lot of work to do, but he signed that however many year contract, so he's in it for the long haul. So, but it's going to take a lot to get North Carolina to be a actual good football team. That man's got a lot of work cut out for him. I like Bill Belichick, by the way. This isn't like a smear Arch and Bill campaign. I don't have no problem with Arch Manning. I like the Manning family. I don't have no problem with Bill Belichick. I think he's the greatest football coach probably of one of them of all time. Maybe not the greatest, but he's there. So I don't have a problem with either of them, but this was not a good weekend for either. Who had it worse? Probably Belichick. Losing by 34 points, nobody expected to happen. They were probably expecting a competitive game. Arch Manning getting folded by the Ohio State defense is not that surprising. Now, if he goes out next week and loses, then, there's some eyebrows going to be raised. But Arch Manning getting folded by the Ohio State defense is not that surprising. Last thing we got here is just talking about Micah Parsons being traded to Green Bay. And here is his agent saying that Parsons actually wanted to stay. And I think we all knew that, but he said that Jerry and them refused, since Jerry is the GM of the Cowboys. There's no GM, it's Jerry. So he said Jerry was refusing to talk to his agent and said that Micah Parsons' agent said he would not talk to me. He thought he could make a deal directly with Parsons without having to speak to me. And he said it just remained silent up until the point he got traded. So here he is talking.
Molly chimed back in here. My last question to you is there anything particularly emanating from this whole Micah Parsons brouhaha that you want to express to the public at large out here, as it pertains to your business, as it pertains to player representation, Micah Parsons specifically, or anything like that? Is there anything that you want to address or you want to say that you don't believe anybody is focused enough on?
I think the most important thing is that Micah wanted to be a Cowboy, right? He grew up cheering for the Cowboys, wore the blue and white at Penn State, wore it in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. He wanted to be a Cowboy. We did everything we could for him to remain a Cowboy. We reached out, and like you said, I don't really do these interviews. We try to keep the negotiations out of the media. But in this case, so much information has been put out there that we wanted to just address a couple of things. But as far as Michael is concerned, he wanted to be a Cowboy. We did everything we could. And sometimes you got to be a little careful with what you read in the media as far as what was offered to Micah, the guarantees that were offered, the APY that was offered. There's so much that goes into an NFL contract. If you look at many of these contracts that the Cowboys have done over the past few years and the recent ones, the guarantees don't stretch much further than the first new year. If you look at Micah's current deal, he has guarantees into, 4 years from now. So, again, there are certain things that have been put out in the media to make it look as though Micah turned down a fair or a great deal, but that's simply not the case.
And there you have it from Micah Parsons' agent. He said that Dallas was only offering guarantees for 1 year. Green Bay gave him guarantees for 4 years. And so he said Jerry was just unwilling to even really negotiate with his agent in general. And he thought he could go around him. But there's an interview from his agent. We got that game tomorrow. NFL season kicks off tomorrow. Just putting the game up here, I was thinking that, on ESPN, they said that you should take the spread for the 7.5 Dallas. I'm not sure about that. after losing Micah Parsons, I'm not sure that they can stay within 8 points of the Eagles defense. I think I'm more in favor of taking the 7.5 for the Eagles or lower it to 6.5 or something like that. But after losing Parsons, I don't think that defense can stop this Eagles team. This Eagles team has multiple weapons on offense. Who is going to stop Saquon Barkley? Who is going to stop A.J. Brown? Who is going to stop Devonta Smith? Who is going to stop all these guys? With no Micah Parsons, the defense got worse. Who's going to stop all these guys? So that's all I'm saying. So I'm leaning more towards the 7.5, a little bit more than a plus 7.5. That's all I got for y'all. Burb Jones, 3-4 of them. Happy NFL season tomorrow. We out of here before my dogs start going crazy. Like I said, next time we're going to come back, it's going to be episode 1, season 3. And we're going to talk about the first NFL weekend. So now that the NFL is rolling, there's going to be podcasts on a more consistency because we will have the weekend games to go over. That's it. We out of here, man. Here's the Buzz Sprout. Here's the Buzz Sprout info.